we're on.
All right. Call the meeting to order for the Board of Equalization agenda. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Abraham? Mayor Lindsay?
Here. Okay, we have one appeal that is attached. It has already been through the courthouse, and I'll ask Jen if there's anything more you want to add to this.
Just some time frame. I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm not sure we've had a couple of the commissioners ever be part of the Board of Equalization before. Third Monday in March means that you meet as the Board of Equalization. Assessments were mailed by the Director of Equalization before their March 1st deadline. Property owners are given until March 12th to file written appeals with the clerk of the local board. You are the local board. I would be your clerk. Okay? Several inquiries between Shirley's office and my office were received. However, tonight you only have one formal appeal in front of you. That is from Jeray and Kendra Wire. Documentation has been attached for you. Shows that Mr. Wire's appeal was based on the fact that an addition to his home is incomplete, but it was assessed as complete. He has met with the Director of Equalization, as the mayor stated, and they have compromised on a percentage of completion. So you will see his records. Last year's assessed value was 21.1. Land, that remained, but the property, the structure went from 99.5 to the 143.5 for a total assessment of $140,900. Okay, so unless you...
Actually, it was 160 something, and the 140 is the adjustment, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
143.5.
Yeah, it was 164.6.
Yes.
That's what it went to.
Okay.
But because of the partial completion, they reached an agreement in that it went, that it would go to 140,900.
9. Yep, as stated on this sheet here.
Mhm.
Okay? Any questions that I can answer for you? And if not, unless you have any arguments, I would simply recommend that you approve his appeal request as presented. We complete the paperwork, it goes back over to the...
Where is he?
And just a little bit more background on it. A postcard was sent to them for the Board of Equalization, for the Assessor's Office to take a look at the completion in that before the numbers were put together, and they did not respond on that, so the director was not able to get in, so she assessed it as being 100% complete. And then after they got the tax thing, they worked out a time in that to show, where the state that they're at. And then they reached this agreement and that on this one, so. Any
Well-
questions?
What's the compromised amount?
140. So it did go up in valuation, it just didn't go to 100%.
To 100%. This sheet here, Jeremiah?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
21.1 on the land, and then 119.8 on the building, for a total of $140,900.
It went up 44,000 in the completion portion.
Okay, so, and then, I'm fine with that. And
I am too.
I'll make a motion that we approve Kendra and Dre Wire's appeal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Hang on, you got one more thing to do.
All right,
The books there, the assessment rolls as provided,
right here.
okay? You need to review those and approve the 2015 assessment rule as presented.
Want to see you guys read through
All right,
that
who's
while
the
I
speed
brief
reader
this
here?
one.
Okay. Okay, based on the history of the people in the assessor's office, I know that they have gone through it, and so I guess I am going to be comfortable with it.
Yeah,
If there are no
that's-
other appeals, then everyone
Mhm.
else who's in there is comfortable also, we can assume.
Is this the whole county?
Yeah, look up your own and make sure that it's right, and then you'll know that, or hope that the rest
If
of
it-
them are also right.
And if it didn't go up enough, we can adjust that. Right?
Correct. We can always
Steel works
adjust
both
just
ways.
my own land up higher.
Yes.
Put your tax levy down.
Yeah. Basically, this is, it comes from
Mhm.
the county, and they've obviously been through it, and by the time we get this, everybody else has got their notices, and if they had any complaints.
Notices have been mailed, and
They have
people have
plenty of
had the
time to do so.
opportunities to file an appeal. And
Can we assign a subcommittee to go through all these?
We could.
Be sharing it, but
Be a fun one, huh?
I'll make a motion
Questions?
that we
Okay.
accept this. Is that how you want that?
Approve the 2015 assessment roll as presented, if you would, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn
So moved.
as the Board of Equalization?
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, before you, you have the Board of Commissioners for this evening. And Jen, would you take roll call?
There you go.
All right, Commissioner Corbin.
Here?
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Waldner.
Here.
Commissioner Abraham. Mayor Lindsay.
Here.
We,
Do we need a motion? to go
Commissioner
into-
Johnson, yep, we had,
Came out of the other one. Do we have to have a motion to go into this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, and he just called this one to order.
Okay.
So we keep the two
Okay.
meetings separate, because the minutes have to be separate, right?
Minutes are separate.
Separated.
Thank you, excuse me.
Yep.
Before you, you have the minutes of the March 9th meeting. Do we have a-
16th.
Make a motion to approve March 9th, 2015 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no appearances, acknowledgements, and correspondence, we will move on to old business. 5:35 PM, hearing upon the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, a temporary alcohol license for the Dakota State University Foundation. And we've had the previous reading on this. Is there anyone here that wants to speak to that? Seeing none, do we have any motion from the commission?
I move to approve the application for sale of alcoholic beverages, temporary alcohol license for Dakota State University for the foundation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business number 2, the 2014 annual report. And I will ask Jen if she wants to address that.
All right, more annual report. Previously, we have gone through the published section of the annual report and also the governmental funds. Tonight, we're going to get a little bit of the proprietary funds. The first 3 pages you have in front of you are the statement of net position. Also, as we went through the similar line items for the governmental funds, this was called your balance sheet. Same line items are going to be addressed here as we did a couple weeks ago. Assets, current assets, you will see cash and designated reserve. Once again, this cash includes all of our designated reserves. Accounts receivable, inventory of supplies, some prepaid expenses. Moving down into the non-current assets, you'll see restricted cash and cash equivalents. Again, that is your restricted cash in the water fund. That is your Lewis and Clark debt service that is set aside. In the in the electric fund, it is the First National Bank payments for the electric generation and distribution. Those are your restricted dollars there in your proprietary funds. Deposits, you'll see $1.9 million in the water fund as a deposit. Our financials call that an investment in joint venture. Those are the dollars booked as assets that we have already put towards the Lewis and Clark project. It's our financials as an asset. That bottom section there, your capital assets, land, buildings, machinery, and equipment. Also, the accumulated depreciation for all of the above gives you total assets. Page 2 walks you through liabilities. Accounts payable, due from other government, that line item there is your sales tax payable. You've got accrued interest and accrued wages payable. Bonds payable current, the $197,000, the $211,000, and the $520,000. Those are the bond payments due in 2015. Flip the page with me,
Jen,
and you
what-
will see.
Hold on,
Yep,
what,
go ahead.
what number, the bond payments?
Bond payments current is 226.
226, oh,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, the
Put it on there.
197, Mike,
Got it.
211 and the 520. Again, those are the payments due in 2015. If you flip ahead to the next page, you'll see non-current liabilities and bonds payable. Those are the bonds payable in 2016 and prior years, or excuse me, and future years.
Okay.
They differentiate those two for current and non-current. You'll see accrued leave payable, also your OPEB obligation will give you your total liabilities. That next section there is your net position. Your net position, before GASB stepped in and made all kinds of new rules and talked about deferred inflows and deferred outflows, that is known to us old timers as your fund balance. Okay, that whole section there is your fund balance. Your assets will always equal or better equal your total liabilities plus your net position. So that's simply your balance sheet for your proprietary funds. The next two pages you have here is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund net position. This includes many non-cash items. It includes your depreciation, and it does not account for your capital assets or your debt service. Includes capital contributions and transfers. The first section there is your operating revenue. You'll see the charges for goods and services, revenue dedicated to servicing fund. That is your customer collections for your water, sewer, electric, community center, solid waste, and recycling funds. The next section is your operating expenses, your personnel, other, materials. Look at that $5.4 million in the electric fund. That is strictly your purchase power. Those are all the payments made all of 2014 to Heartland and to WAPA. There's nothing else included there except your purchase power. Please also note your depreciation. All the funds have a depreciation for a total of almost $1.2 million in depreciation. That bottom section there details your non-operating revenue and expenditures, your investment earnings, and your interest expense. Turn the page with me, you'll see some capital contributions and also your transfers in and your transfers out. Right in the middle of the page there, your change in net position. That is basically your net income, okay? Some of these net income bottom lines are higher than last year and some are lower than last year. You'll see the community center and the recycling center are both in the red. They were also in the red last year. We'll continue to analyze and visit with those departments about that. A majority of that is some of your depreciation expense. Okay? But before we get too excited about some of those bottom line and what we would consider net income, I need you to flip ahead to the next section, that is your statement of cash flows.
Jen, on that community center, if I may,
Yep,
that is after we transferred in that 94.5?
that is correct. So that's
Okay.
with our 94.5 contribution.
All right.
Okay?
Making
You and I
sure.
can talk a little bit more about community center if you
Yep.
so choose, okay?
We have been.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, cash, statement of cash flows. This is your cash changes from the end of 2013 through the end of 2014. So the first page there, once again, you'll see cash flow from operating, you will see your receipts from your customers. Let's walk through, if we can please, the electric fund specifically. Look at your electric fund there. So even though it said cash receipts from customers is $9.5 million, we also realized almost $1 million in personnel expenses and almost $7 million in your cash payments to suppliers for goods and services. The second section there notes your transfers. Remembering we transfer $237,000 out of the electric fund to supplement other funds every year. The third section there is our capital assets, and you'll remember I stated capital assets were not part of the statement of revenue report. So you'll see purchase of capital assets of almost $800,000. There's our debt. Our capital debt in the electric fund is $415,000. Interest paid on that debt is almost $200,000. So we'll continue on to the next page there. About a third of the way down is your net decrease in cash. And that is essentially how much more or less cash you have at the end of 2014 than you had at the end of 2013. And you'll see specifically for the electric fund, it's only about $200,000. So even though our income statement showed us some pretty good numbers, our bottom line cash, because of our debt, because of our capital purchases, because of many other things, our bottom line cash has only increased by about $200,000. That middle section there is your balances ending. That is your cash and your designated reserves, and also those restricted reserves that we talked about. Any questions there? The last page here is the schedule of changes in long-term debt. First column is the long-term debt at the beginning of 2014. Column there for the new debt that we added, let the debt be paid off, gives us our long-term debt at the end of the year. You will see that unfortunately we're going the wrong direction. We've gone from $16.8 million to $17.3 million, due in large to the finishing of the water treatment plant and the debt that hit our books upon that completion. Questions? Do you want to go through these? Do you want to know what these are as far as the governmental? The top part is your governmental, and then the bottom section there is your enterprise.
And that increase is only about $500,000,
Mhm.
you know, so it's.
We added 1.9 million and we paid off almost 1.5.
Yep.
And the refinancing that we did with these, that was
Last
a
year.
year ago, right?
Yep.
Year ago.
Yep. There's no refinancing here, it's just new debt.
Questions?
My only question now then is how much more of this do you want? I've given you the published report 1 week, we did the governmental funds, we've now done the proprietary funds. What I have left would be budget. Now they will take all these numbers, and another section of our annual report is how all these numbers compare to what we budgeted. This will all be posted on the website, you can draw from it there, we will certainly have more conversation as compared to budget as we move into the 2016 budget. I'll feed you as much as you want, you just gotta let me know what you're at, what you want.
What do you guys think?
Well, for the public and that, I want to say that I know all of the commissioners. This is not new to them. They've all spent time in that, with questions and going over these and that in the finance office at different times. And so, it's not the first time that we've got it in front of us to say, ooh, what is this?
Right,
Right.
that's what I was
So-
thinking. I don't know how much of it we need to go through the
Yeah,
commission meeting, but
And some of the budget stuff, it's like, you guys got your
Right.
department budgets, and I have mine, Nick has his, and
Yep.
Nick, he takes care of Fred, so none of us have to worry about anything.
So,
Okay, very good.
very good. All right.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep,
Yes, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
don't need.
Don't need one. All right, we will move on. New business. Resolution number 2015-3. Request the South Dakota Department of Transportation to hire ASEN Engineering Company Incorporated for bridge inspection work. And Chad, would you like to address this one?
Yes, I can. Thank you. This is not an engineering agreement. This is a selection of a consultant off the retainer list that the DOT has. They're required by federal law to accomplish bridge inspections either every 2 years or every 4 years. There's 2 memos included in here that provide a lot of information that explain this relatively clearly, I would say. This is a process that most jurisdictions do use, is the DOT retainer list. We've done this for many, many years. We used this group last time. The county uses this group. And I guess last time the city's 20% in 2013 was about $537. So it gives you an idea of what the.
Say that again.
In 2013, the city's percent,
Mhm.
the 20% that we would pay towards that is $537. And so I can answer any other questions if there are any. And I would recommend that the resolution be approved to allow this group to do these inspections.
And again, you're just saying we have to do this like every 2 years?
Right, some of the structures
Through
need it every
DOT.
2 years, and some need it every 4 years, so on that off cycle, we get to skip a few structures,
Yep.
but this is a year where we have all of them to do. It's the process for this certification, to be able to do this, a person to be qualified, you may have seen some of the literature, they
Yep.
would have to have pretty extensive background in bridge inspections. They have to attend a 2-week class somewhere in the United States, typically not local. And even some of the software, I got this from the gentleman who authored these memos, Cody Axland from the DOT. Just the software to accomplish these runs about, for the licensing agreement, about $3,000 a year. So you can tell from the numbers that it makes sense to try to get somebody off the retainer list and pay 20%.
Do we have any particular bridges in town that you have a concern with at this point?
We're scheduled for 2 to be replaced in 2018. I wouldn't say I have a concern with them. If
Okay.
part of the inspection process is they determine load restrictions that you have to put on them. And I believe we have 2 posted maybe now. And so I don't have any concerns right now with any bridges.
Questions?
So does the county have a similar schedule and all the county bridges will be inspected too?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2015-3 and request the SDDOT to hire ASEN Engineering Company Incorporated for bridge inspection work.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2, authorize the mayor to sign a contract with the South Dakota DOT Project P 6312, parentheses 18, PCN 03DL, which is basically Southeast 4th Street. Chad, would you want to address this?
Yes, I can. Thank you. This is for, the contract is actually between the city and Double H Paving of T, South Dakota. They bid the 2 projects jointly for 4th Street. What I'm referring to is the DOT requires those projects to be concurrently bid by the same contractor. The one project is where the DOT enters into the contract with the bidder, and that's for the street and the storm sewer and the drainage improvements. And then the city, as part of that bid package, hires the contractor and enters into the contract for the water, any water main or sewer main work. And this is for our portion, the water main or sewer main work. The bids were opened by DOT in February, I believe it was. So this is the continuation of the 4th Street project.
Very good. Questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the contract, SDDOT-Project P 631218, PCN 03DL, Southeast 4th Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 3, review and award the bid number 833, for transformers, cable, and pad mount switches. And I'll ask Chad if he wants to address it or if Dennis wants to address it.
I can maybe say a few things to start, and then Dennis as well. Bids were opened on March 10th for the electrical materials for the 2015 project. There were 5 proposals within the bid package requested for bid. The recommendations from DGR Engineering are included. The bid was, the total of the bids were within the estimated amounts and found to be reasonable. Otherwise, it's relatively self-explanatory. This is just the first step. We bid the materials for this project, and then the next step would we bid for a contractor to install them. The only thing I would make note is, you can see in the paragraph in the letter on page 1, there's a paragraph below where it says proposal number 1. There was a change observed that's going to be necessary to be pursued by a change order subsequently, which will have to come before you for approval. Just replacing what was initially estimated as a 75 kVA transformer with a 150 kVA transformer. We've talked with DGR and Dennis and David Jinks, and we believe the best way to pursue it is just to award these bids as presented and then pursue a change order later on. That would be the cleanest way to do that for this project, rather than try to make any changes before the award or anything like that.
And the change order would amount to $641.
Correct.
Okay.
Take that, you'll see that subsequently, and I would take it from us, eliminate the 75 kVA transformer and add a 150 kVA transformer. Dennis, did you have any other?
No, I think it's all material we've used before, same range and stuff, so it'll be good.
Hey, did you have one in here that you were recommending from the bid opening there, Chad?
What I would, probably the easiest way it would be if, you can probably do it in one motion and pursue the award per proposal as listed in the letter. Then you're not having to comb through that spreadsheet.
Yep.
And so the first one, the low bidder would be Irby Company for the total bid price of $31,744. For proposal 2 would be Resco for the total bid price of $51,125. Proposal 3 the low bidder was Wesco for the bid of $36,920. For proposal 4, the low bid is Wesco for a bid of $28,160. And for proposal 5, for the pad mount switches, would be for Irby Company for $16,200.
We're okay with one motion on that? Who wants to reread all that? I'll make a motion that we award bid number 833 for transformers, cable, and pad mount switches. And proposal 1 is Irby Company in the amount of $31,744. Proposal 2 for the single-phase pad mount transformers goes to Resco, $51,125. Proposal number 3, primary power cable goes to Wesco in the amount of $36,920. Proposal number 4 is secondary power cable to Wesco for $28,160. And the last proposal, number 5, pad mount switches to Irby Company for $16,200.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 4, authorize the use of storm sewer reserve for waterline riprap. And Chad or Fred? Fred, do you want to address that one?
A few weeks ago, the gas company actually had a contractor out next to the east side of the box culvert, just south of our department on Highland. The reason they were out there was that the water had basically eaten away everything underneath that gas line, so it was suspended. Well, after they got everything pumped down, they found out our water line was suspended also. So this would be to basically cover the cost of putting material back in there to safeguard our water line at the end of that box culvert. So I would ask that $6,000 out of the storm sewer reserve be authorized to be used to take care of that expense.
Why does that have to come out of the storm sewer fund? Why couldn't it come out of the water fund?
Because it's a storm sewer culvert, or creek culvert. Basically, works better if we take it out of that instead of the water fund at that point. We actually got more in reserve in the storm sewer to cover that kind of thing than we do in the water fund.
Yeah, I think either reserve will work. I think it's better we take it out of this one.
And you want the motion for $6,000?
Yes, please.
Up to.
Up to $6,000.
Up to.
I'll make a motion to authorize use of storm sewer reserve up to $6,000 for that water line riprap.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Declare as surplus property and appoint appraisers for scrap aluminum wire. And again, this is something that we kind of do on a monthly basis, and that so that as they're working on things, you know, we get rid of the scrap materials.
Yeah, it's just what we're taking down for
Yeah.
our upgrades.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we declare a surplus property and some scrap aluminum wire and appoint Commissioner Corbin, Dennis Poppin, and Chad Combs as the appraisers.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You also have attached some personnel adjustments.
Make a motion to approve personnel.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we are now in executive session.